The HOA president had been watching me for months, writing violation notices for every little thing. She thought I was just another helpless mom. Then she walked into my hospital room and stole my newborn baby. What she didn't know. I'm a trained Navy SEAL. And I always complete my missions. She just made the biggest mistake of her life. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The hospital bracelet felt tight around my wrist as I adjusted myself in the uncomfortable bed. 3 days ago, I had given birth to the most beautiful baby girl in the world. My daughter, Lily Rose Thompson. She had my dark hair and her father's blue eyes. She was perfect. I was exhausted. The C-section had been rough, and recovery was slow. But every time I looked at Lily sleeping in her little bassinet next to my bed, everything felt worth it. My husband Jake sat in the chair beside me, scrolling through his phone. We had moved into Meadowbrook Community 6 months ago, right when I found out I was pregnant. It seemed like the perfect place to raise a family. Clean streets, good schools nearby, a park at the end of our block. What we didn't know was that our neighbor, Patricia Henderson, was the HOA president. And she was about to make our lives a living nightmare. Patricia was 58 years old, with perfectly styled blonde hair that never moved, even in wind. She wore pastel cardigans and pearl necklaces. She smiled a lot, but her eyes were always cold, always judging. From the day we moved in, she watched us. Our grass was half an inch too long. Violation notice. Our trash cans visible from the street on non-collection days. Violation notice. Jake's work truck parked in our own driveway. Violation notice. Commercial vehicles weren't allowed to be displayed in Meadowbrook Community. We laughed about it at first. Called her HOA Karen behind her back. But Patricia didn't think it was funny. She took her position very seriously. She believed she was protecting property values, maintaining standards, keeping the neighborhood perfect. When I got pregnant, things got worse. Patricia knocked on our door one evening, holding her tablet with the HOA rulebook pulled up. "Congratulations on your pregnancy," she said with that cold smile. "I wanted to remind you that children's toys must be stored out of sight when not in use. No playpens or equipment visible from the street. And baby crying should be kept to reasonable hours. We have noise ordinances." I stared at her. "You're seriously telling me my newborn baby can't cry at night?" "I'm saying you need to be considerate of your neighbors. Some of us value our peace and quiet." Her smile never wavered. "I'm sure you'll be a responsible parent." Jake gently closed the door in her face. "She's insane," he muttered. "She's just a busybody with too much time," I replied. But something about the way she looked at me made my skin crawl. What Patricia didn't know was that I wasn't just a regular mom-to-be. I was Lieutenant Commander Sarah Thompson, Navy SEAL. One of the few women to make it through the brutal training. I had served in combat zones, led missions, saved lives. I was on maternity leave, but my skills never left me. I noticed things. Like how Patricia's car was always parked where she could see our house. How she happened to be outside whenever we left. How she took pictures of our property, claiming it was for HOA documentation. It felt like surveillance. But I was too tired, too pregnant, too focused on preparing for the baby to do anything about it. The harassment escalated as my pregnancy progressed. Patricia started sending daily emails about violations we hadn't even committed. She claimed our doormat was the wrong color. She said our car was parked 3 inches over the property line. She reported that our porch light was too bright and disturbed other residents. Jake wanted to fight back, to stand up to her. But I was 7 months pregnant and didn't have the energy for HOA drama. I just wanted to prepare for our baby in peace. "We'll deal with her after Lily is born," I told him. "Right now, she's just a nuisance." But Patricia wasn't just a nuisance. She was obsessed. Our other neighbors started warning us. Mrs. Chen from across the street pulled me aside one afternoon when I was getting the mail. "Be careful with Patricia," she whispered, looking around nervously. "She drove the last family out of your house. Young couple with a toddler. Patricia made their lives miserable. Called CPS on them twice with false reports. They moved out after 6 months just to escape her. Why didn't anyone stop her?" I asked. Mrs. Chen looked ashamed. "She's HOA president. She has power. And most people are too afraid to challenge her. She can make your life very difficult if you cross her. I should have paid more attention to that warning. I should have recognized the danger. But I was focused on my pregnancy, on preparing our home, on the upcoming birth. Then Lily was born. The birth was complicated. Emergency C-section. I lost a lot of blood. The doctors wanted me to stay in the hospital for at least 5 days to monitor my recovery. Jake stayed with me, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair, bringing me ice chips and holding my hand. The first 2 days were a blur of exhaustion and pain and overwhelming love for this tiny human we had created. Lily was perfect. She had 10 fingers and 10 toes and the sweetest little cry. She nursed well, slept in short bursts, and made my heart feel like it might explode from joy. On the second day, a delivery arrived at my hospital room. A large bouquet of pink flowers with a card. "Congratulations on your new arrival. Remember, quiet hours in Meadowbrook Community are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. We look forward to welcoming baby Lily home. Patricia Henderson, HOA President." Jake crumpled the card in his fist. "Are you kidding me? She's reminding us about noise violations while you're in the hospital." I felt a chill run down my spine. Something about the flowers felt wrong. Not celebratory. More like a warning. How does she even know Lily's name? I wondered aloud. "We haven't told anyone yet except our parents." Jake frowned. "I posted a picture on social media. Maybe she saw it there. But my social media was private. Patricia wasn't on my friends list. Which meant she was monitoring us somehow, finding ways to access our private information." The chill deepened. This wasn't just HOA harassment. This was something darker. On the third day, I was finally feeling a bit better. Strong enough to walk to the bathroom without help. The nurse said I could try breastfeeding in the chair instead of lying down. Lily was sleeping peacefully in her bassinet. I was exhausted and decided to take a nap while she slept. Jake had gone to the cafeteria to grab lunch. "Mrs. Thompson." A voice woke me gently. "I'm from the nursery. We need to take baby Lily for some routine tests. Just standard procedures. Should only be about an hour." I blinked sleepily at the woman. She wore scrubs and a hospital volunteer badge. She looked professional, kind. Through my exhausted haze, I didn't think to question it. "Okay," I mumbled, already drifting back to sleep. She wheeled the bassinet out of the room. I slept for another 2 hours. When I woke up, Jake was back, eating a sandwich. "Where's Lily?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "She's right," he looked at the empty bassinet. His face went pale. "Sarah, where's the baby?" Ice flooded my veins. I was instantly awake, adrenaline washing away the fog of exhaustion and medication. A nurse took her. 4 tests. 2 hours ago. Jake was already pressing the call button frantically. A nurse arrived within seconds. "Where's our daughter?" I demanded. "Someone took her for tests 2 hours ago." The nurse frowned, checking her tablet. "We don't have any tests scheduled for your baby today. And we always inform parents beforehand and get signed consent forms." The room started spinning. My training kicked in immediately, pushing past the panic, forcing me to think clearly. "What did this person look like?" the nurse asked urgently, already reaching for the phone. I don't know, I was half asleep. Woman, maybe 50s, blonde hair, volunteer badge, scrubs. The nurse's face went white. She ran from the room, shouting down the hallway. Within seconds, alarms were blaring throughout the hospital. Code pink. Code pink. Infant abduction. All exits secure. Code pink. The words hit me like bullets. My baby. Someone took my baby. Jake was shouting, nurses were running, security guards appeared from every direction. Everyone was asking questions I couldn't answer because I had been too tired, too trusting, too stupid. The SEAL training that had kept me alive through 6 deployments suddenly felt worthless. I had failed the most basic mission of all, protecting my own child. Hospital security locked down every exit within 90 seconds of the alarm. Police arrived within 5 minutes. They pulled security footage, interviewed staff, searched every room, every closet, every possible hiding place. I sat frozen in my bed, my mind refusing to process what was happening. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. I would wake up and Lily would be right there, sleeping peacefully. But she wasn't. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From rage so pure and hot it felt like my blood was boiling. Someone had walked into my room and stolen my daughter while I slept. Someone had looked at my sleeping baby and decided to take her. A detective entered my room, flanked by 2 uniformed officers. He was in his 50s, gray hair, tired eyes. He had probably seen terrible things. But I doubted he had ever dealt with a Navy SEAL whose baby had been stolen. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Detective Martinez. I need you to look at this footage and tell me if you recognize this person. They showed me the security camera video from the hallway outside my room. A woman in scrubs and a volunteer badge entered my room, then left wheeling the bassinet. She walked calmly through the halls, took the elevator down, and exited through the main entrance. She didn't run. She didn't look nervous. She looked like she belonged there. Like she had every right to be pushing a newborn out of the hospital. Can you see her face clearly? Detective Martinez asked. They zoomed in on the woman's face as she passed a camera near the elevator. My blood turned to ice. Patricia Henderson. Our HOA president. The woman who had been watching us for months. The woman who thought we were unfit neighbors. The woman who had sent flowers to my hospital room with a reminder about noise violations. She had stolen my baby. I know her, I said, my voice deadly calm. The kind of calm that came before violence. The kind of calm my team recognized as a warning sign. Her name is Patricia Henderson. She lives 2 houses down from us in Meadowbrook community. She's the president of our HOA. Detective Martinez's eyes widened. You're absolutely certain. 100% certain. I've dealt with her harassment for 6 months. That's her. Jake grabbed my hand. Why would she take Lily? What possible reason? She thinks we're unfit parents, I said flatly. She's been documenting every minor violation of HOA rules for months. Building a case in her mind that we're not good enough. She probably convinced herself she was rescuing Lily from us. Detective Martinez was already on his radio, sending units to Patricia's house. But I knew she wouldn't be there. Someone who had planned this carefully wouldn't go straight home. Detective, I need all the information you have on Patricia Henderson. Now. He started to protest about procedure, about letting professionals handle it, about my need to stay in bed and recover. I cut him off. Detective Martinez, I'm Lieutenant Commander Sarah Thompson, Navy SEAL Team 3. I've run hostage rescue missions in 4 countries. I've tracked targets through mountains and deserts. I've extracted people from situations you couldn't imagine. My voice was ice and steel. That woman has my 3-day-old daughter. You can either give me the information I need or waste time arguing while she gets further away. Choose wisely. He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. What do you need? Everything. Her address, phone number, vehicle information, property records, criminal history, psychiatric history, family members, everything you can access in the next 5 minutes. He pulled out his tablet and started typing. While he worked, I was pulling myself out of bed, ignoring the screaming pain from my incision. A nurse rushed over. Mrs. Thompson, you absolutely cannot get out of bed. Your stitches. My stitches are the least of my concerns right now. I grabbed the bag of clothes Jake had brought from home. Someone stole my baby. I'm getting her back. Ma'am, you lost a lot of blood during surgery. You're in no condition. I'm in exactly the condition I need to be in. I pulled off the hospital gown, not caring who saw. I've run missions with broken ribs, torn ligaments, and gunshot wounds. I can handle some surgical stitches. Jake was pale but determined. I'm coming with you. No arguments. You're the expert here. I'll follow your lead. He helped me get dressed, his hands gentle around my bandages. But Sarah, please be careful. I can't lose both of you. You won't lose either of us. I kissed him quickly. I promise. Detective Martinez finished compiling the information. Patricia Henderson, 58 years old. No criminal record. One property in Meadowbrook community registered to her name. Vehicle is a silver Lexus SUV, license plate 7JKM 452. We've got units heading to her house now and an APB out on her vehicle. What about previous addresses? I pressed. He scrolled through the records. She moved to Meadowbrook 3 years ago from Riverside. Before that, she lived in Corona for 5 years. Pull up any incident reports from those addresses. His fingers flew across the screen. Then he paused. Oh hell. What? Multiple complaints from neighbors in both locations. Harassment, stalking, obsessive behavior. In Riverside, she was fired from a position as a preschool volunteer after parents complained she was too possessive with the children. In Corona, there was a restraining order filed by a family with a newborn. They claimed she was watching their house, following them, trying to take their baby from a stroller at a park. My heart was pounding. What happened with that case? Charges were dropped after she agreed to psychiatric treatment. She was diagnosed with something called obsessive maternal displacement disorder. Basically, she fixates on other people's babies and convinces herself they need her to mother them. Jake made a choking sound. So she's done this before? Tried to. Never successfully. Detective Martinez looked grim. Until now. I was already moving toward the elevator, pulling up property records on my phone. She won't go to her primary residence. Too obvious. Does she own any other properties? Not under her name, but, wait. He typed rapidly. There's an LLC registered to her. Henderson Family Trust. It owns one property. A cabin in the San Bernardino Mountains, about an hour from here. Send me the address. My phone buzzed with the information. That's where she is. You can't possibly know that for certain. Yes, I can. It's remote, private, defensible. Exactly where I would go if I needed to disappear with something precious. She's there. Detective Martinez was already radioing for units to respond to the cabin address. ETA 40 minutes. Mrs. Thompson, I need you to wait for. No. I stepped into the elevator. Every minute that passes is another minute my daughter is with that woman. I'm not waiting. This is an active investigation. You can't just. Watch me. The elevator doors closed on his protests. Jake drove because I physically couldn't manage it with my fresh surgical wounds, but I navigated. My mind was already shifting into mission mode, planning the approach, considering contingencies, preparing for every scenario. What if we're wrong? Jake asked quietly as we merged onto the highway. What if she's not at the cabin? Then we'll find her somewhere else. But I'm not wrong. I could feel it in my bones, the same certainty I'd felt tracking targets in Afghanistan. She's there. I texted Detective Martinez the cabin address again with a single message, approaching target location. We'll update when recovered. His response was immediate, do not engage. Wait for backup. That's an order. I didn't respond. I wasn't under his command. The drive took 45 minutes that felt like 45 hours. Every second was agony. I kept picturing Lily crying, hungry, scared, wondering where her mother was. She was too young to understand, but babies knew. They knew when something was wrong. I tried calling Patricia's cell phone. It rang 4 times then went to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. What would I even say? Jake kept glancing at me nervously. Your bandage is bleeding through. I looked down. He was right. Red was seeping through my shirt. I had probably torn the stitches during all the movement. Doesn't matter. Sarah. It doesn't matter. My voice left no room for argument. Nothing matters except getting Lily back. The cabin was deep in the forest, accessible only by a narrow dirt road that wound through thick pine trees. We passed a faded sign that read, "Private property, no trespassing." Good. Privacy meant Patricia felt safe. Safe meant she would be less vigilant. I had Jake park the car a quarter-mile from the cabin, hidden off the road behind a cluster of trees. We would approach on foot from here. Stay with the car, I told him. Absolutely not. She's my daughter too. Jake, listen to me. I grabbed his shoulders, forcing him to meet my eyes. You're not trained for this. I need you to be backup. If something goes wrong, if I don't come out in 20 minutes, you call Detective Martinez and tell him to send everything. Understood? He wanted to argue. I could see it in his face. But he also knew I was right. 20 minutes, he agreed reluctantly. Then I'm coming in. Fair enough. I moved through the forest like a ghost. Years of training made it second nature, where to step to avoid noise, how to use shadows and cover, how to become invisible in plain sight. The pain from my incision was intense, but I pushed it into a mental box and locked it away. Pain was just information. I didn't have to act on it. The cabin came into view through the trees. Single story, maybe 1,200 square feet, built in the classic A-frame style. Patricia's silver Lexus was parked beside it. Lights were on inside, living room and what looked like a bedroom. She was here. My baby was here. I circled the perimeter slowly, cataloging every detail. One entrance in front, one back door, windows on 3 sides. No security cameras visible, but then Patricia wouldn't think she needed them. In her deluded mind, she was doing something noble, not criminal. Through a gap in the curtains, I saw movement. Patricia, holding a baby wrapped in a pink blanket. My daughter. My Lily. She was rocking back and forth, singing softly. She looked peaceful. Content. Like this was completely normal. Like my daughter belonged to her. Rage burned through me so hot I thought I might incinerate from the inside out. But I breathed through it, controlled it, channeled it into focus. Rage made you sloppy. I needed to be precise. I studied the cabin's layout through the windows. Living room and kitchen combined in an open space. 2 bedroom doors off a short hallway. 1 bathroom. Patricia was in the living room, which meant I could access the cabin through the back door without being seen. The back door had a simple keyed lock. I could pick it in under a minute with the tools I always carried. Old habits from my SEAL training, always be prepared for any situation. But first, I needed to know if Patricia was alone. If she had an accomplice, someone helping her, the situation became exponentially more complicated. I watched through the windows for 5 full minutes. No one else appeared. Patricia moved around the cabin freely, setting up a bottle warmer, changing Lily's diaper on a portable changing table she had set up, singing constantly. She had prepared this place. The changing table, bottles of formula, diapers, baby clothes in multiple sizes. She had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. While I was pregnant and excited about my first baby, Patricia was preparing her kidnapping nest. The thought made me sick. But it also told me something important: she wasn't going to hurt Lily. In her twisted mind, she was saving my daughter, giving her a better life. She would take good care of her physically. That should have been comforting. It wasn't. Because good physical care didn't make up for stealing a child from her mother. I moved to the back door. The lock was cheap, standard residential grade. I had it open in 45 seconds. The cabin smelled like baby powder and something floral, lavender, maybe. Patricia's scent. I moved through the small mudroom into the kitchen area, staying low and silent. From here, I had a clear view into the living room. Patricia had her back to me, sitting in a wooden rocking chair with Lily in her arms. She was feeding her a bottle, humming that same lullaby. "There we go, sweet girl," Patricia murmured. "You're safe now. No more loud house. No more mother who's never home. Just you and me, and all the love you deserve." My hands clenched into fists. I forced myself to breathe slowly, to think tactically. I could rush her right now. 3 steps to cross the room, secure the baby with one hand, restrain Patricia with the other. I had done similar maneuvers in hostage situations overseas. But Lily was in Patricia's arms. If Patricia panicked, if she held on too tight, if she stumbled or fell. No. Too risky. I needed to separate them first. Patricia stood up, gently laying Lily in a portable crib she had set up near the rocking chair. "There you go, precious. Let me just get your blanket from the bedroom. Be right back, sweet girl." She walked toward one of the bedroom doors, disappearing from sight. Now. I was across the room in 3 silent strides. Lily was sleeping peacefully in the crib, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. She looked perfect. Unharmed. Healthy. My daughter. I scooped her up in one smooth motion, holding her against my chest. She stirred slightly but didn't wake. The weight of her in my arms, the warmth of her little body, the smell of her skin, it nearly broke me. But I couldn't break yet. Patricia would be back any second. I turned toward the back door, moving fast but careful not to jostle Lily awake. "What are you doing?" Patricia's shriek split the air. She stood in the bedroom doorway, eyes wide with shock and fury. "That's my baby. Put her down." "She's my baby," I said coldly. "And I'm taking her home." Patricia lunged forward. I shifted Lily to one arm and caught Patricia's wrist with the other, twisting it in a compliance hold that made her gasp in pain. "Don't," I warned. "I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you force me to. You can't take her. She needs me. You're never home, you're always deployed, she'll be alone and scared. She has a father who loves her. Grandparents. Family. She has me, and I will always come home to her." I increased pressure on Patricia's wrist slightly. What she doesn't need is a kidnapper who convinced herself stealing a baby is somehow noble. Lily woke up and started crying. The sound cut through me like a knife. My baby was scared, confused, sensing the tension even though she couldn't understand it. "Shoo, sweetheart. Mama's here. Mama's got you." I used my free hand to gently rock her while keeping Patricia restrained. "You're safe now." Patricia was crying now too. I was helping her. "Don't you understand? I was saving her from neglect. From a mother who won't be there. You were feeding your own delusion. My voice was hard. You convinced yourself that your obsession was love, that your crime was rescue. But you didn't save anyone. You traumatized a family and committed a felony. I gave her everything. I prepared this whole place for her. I love her. Love doesn't mean stealing. Love means putting the child's needs first, including her need to be with her actual parents. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. The cavalry was arriving. Patricia seemed to deflate, her struggles ceasing. She sagged in my grip, sobbing. I just wanted to be a mother, she whispered. I just wanted someone to need me. For a brief moment, I felt something almost like pity. Patricia was clearly deeply disturbed, broken by something in her past that had twisted her thinking beyond repair. She genuinely believed she was doing the right thing. But that didn't excuse what she had done. Didn't erase the terror of finding my daughter gone. Didn't undo the trauma. You need help, I told her. Real psychiatric help. I hope you get it. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Car doors slammed. Heavy boots pounded up to the cabin. Police. Open up. I released Patricia and stepped back, keeping Lily secure against my chest. Patricia collapsed onto the floor, still crying, not even trying to run. The police burst through both doors simultaneously, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Hands up. Nobody move. I slowly raised one hand, keeping the other wrapped protectively around Lily. I'm Lieutenant Commander Sarah Thompson. This is my daughter who was abducted from San Diego Naval Hospital. That woman on the floor is Patricia Henderson, the kidnapper. Detective Martinez entered behind the tactical team. He took one look at the scene, me holding Lily, Patricia sobbing on the floor, and shook his head. I told you to wait for backup, he said, but there was no anger in his voice. Just resignation. Would you have waited? I asked quietly. He was silent for a moment, then smiled slightly. No. No, I wouldn't have. Officers helped Patricia to her feet and handcuffed her. She was still crying, still insisting she had been helping, even as they read her rights. I was saving her, Patricia kept repeating. I was giving her a better life. She needed me. She needed me. They led her outside to a patrol car. Through the window, I watched them put her in the back seat. She looked smaller now, diminished. Just a sick woman who had let her delusions destroy multiple lives. An EMT approached me carefully. Ma'am, we need to check the baby. Make sure she's okay. Every instinct screamed to refuse, to hold Lily tight and never let go. But I forced myself to nod. Just be quick. The EMT was gentle and efficient. He checked Lily's vital signs, examined her for any injuries, assessed her overall condition. She's perfect, he announced. Healthy, well-fed, no signs of distress or harm. Whoever took care of her knew what they were doing. That almost made it worse. Because it confirmed that Patricia had genuinely believed she was being a good mother. In her mind, she had loved and cared for Lily. She just couldn't understand that love without consent was violence. The EMT turned his attention to me. Now let me check you. Your shirt is soaked with blood. I looked down. He was right. My entire left side was dark with blood where my incision had torn open. I'm fine. You're not fine. You need immediate medical attention. He guided me to sit down. You probably need emergency surgery to repair the damage. After I get Lily home. Ma'am. I said after. My tone left no room for argument. My daughter comes first. Jake burst into the cabin, his face streaked with tears. Sarah. Lily. Oh my God, you're both. He collapsed beside me, holding both of us, sobbing with relief. "We're okay," I whispered, even though I was bleeding heavily and Lily was crying and nothing felt okay yet. "We're together. That's what matters." Detective Martinez knelt beside us. "We need formal statements from both of you. But that can wait until tomorrow. Right now, let's get all three of you back to the hospital." The ambulance ride back felt surreal. I held Lily the entire time, refusing to let the EMTs take her even for a second. Jake sat beside me, holding my hand, crying quietly. "You did it," he kept saying. "You actually found her. You brought her home. I told you I would." "I know. But seeing you actually do it." He shook his head in wonder. "You're incredible." I didn't feel incredible. I felt exhausted and terrified and overwhelmed. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind pain so intense it made my vision blur. But I had Lily. That was all that mattered. Back at the hospital, the doctors rushed me into surgery immediately. They had to completely reopen my C-section incision and repair the extensive damage I had done during the rescue. The surgeon lectured me about infection risk, healing complications, the stupidity of running around doing Navy SEAL operations while recovering from major surgery. I didn't argue. He was right. What I had done was medically insane. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. When I woke up from surgery, the first thing I saw was Lily sleeping in her bassinet beside my bed. This time, there was a security guard posted outside my door and a new policy that absolutely no one could remove any baby without explicit parental consent verified by the attending physician. Jake was asleep in the chair, exhausted from the longest day of our lives. His hand was stretched out toward Lily's bassinet, as if even in sleep he needed to make sure she was real and safe. I watched them both for a long time. My family. Almost lost. But recovered. Safe. The news picked up the story quickly. Navy SEAL mother rescues kidnapped infant from HOA president. Within hours, reporters were camped outside the hospital, all wanting interviews, wanting to hear the dramatic story. I refused all of them. This wasn't entertainment. It was our trauma, our nightmare, our private horror. I didn't want to share it with the world. But the story leaked anyway. Hospital staff talked. Police officers talked. Neighbors talked. Within days, everyone knew about Patricia Henderson, the HOA Karen who had stalked a military family and stolen their newborn baby. Some people called her a monster. Others said she was mentally ill and deserved sympathy. The debate raged online, strangers arguing about responsibility and mental health and whether Patricia's actions were evil or just sick. I didn't care about the debate. I just wanted her away from my family forever. The arraignment happened 3 days later. Jake and I attended, though I was in a wheelchair and heavily medicated. Patricia appeared in an orange jumpsuit, looking confused and small. Her lawyer immediately pleaded mental illness, arguing she wasn't competent to stand trial. The prosecutor countered that she had planned meticulously, disguised herself, and executed her plan perfectly, all signs of someone who knew exactly what she was doing. The judge ordered psychiatric evaluation before making a decision. As Patricia was led out of the courtroom, she looked directly at me. "I'm sorry," she mouthed. I didn't respond. Sorry didn't bring back the 3 days of terror. Sorry didn't erase the trauma. Sorry was just a word. Over the following weeks, more of Patricia's history emerged. She had suffered 3 miscarriages in her 20s and a stillbirth in her 30s. The grief had broken something fundamental inside her. She had never received proper treatment, never processed her loss, never healed. Instead, the grief had twisted into obsession. She fixated on other people's babies, convinced herself they needed her, and gradually lost touch with reality. In Riverside, she had befriended a new mother and slowly tried to insert herself into the baby's life, offering to babysit constantly, showing up uninvited, giving unsolicited advice. When the family pushed back, Patricia had a breakdown. In Corona, she had actually attempted to take a baby from a stroller at a park. The mother had screamed and Patricia had run. She agreed to psychiatric treatment to avoid charges, but she had never really engaged with therapy. She had just moved to a new city and started over. And in Meadowbrook community, she had found us. A pregnant military woman with a husband who worked long hours. In Patricia's deluded mind, we were perfect targets, a baby who would be neglected and needed her intervention. The psychiatric evaluation came back with a diagnosis of severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, delusional disorder, and what they called pathological grief manifestation. Patricia was genuinely mentally ill, living in a reality that existed only in her head. But the evaluation also concluded she understood right from wrong. She had disguised herself, stolen credentials, planned her approach. She knew what she was doing was illegal. She just believed it was morally justified. The judge ruled she was competent to stand trial. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Patricia's lawyer painted her as a tragic figure, broken by grief and illness, who needed treatment not punishment. The prosecutor showed her planning, her stalking, her deliberate actions. I testified for 3 hours. Describing the harassment before Lily's birth. The flowers with the noise violation reminder. Waking up to find my daughter gone. The terror of those hours not knowing if she was alive or dead. Patricia sat in the defendant's chair, crying quietly, sometimes whispering, "I'm sorry," over and over. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all counts: kidnapping, child endangerment, stalking, impersonating hospital personnel. At sentencing, the judge was stern. "Ms. Henderson, your mental illness is real and deserves compassion. But your actions were calculated and caused immeasurable harm to this family. You terrorized new parents and stole their infant child. Whether you believed you were helping is irrelevant. The harm you caused is what matters." She sentenced Patricia to 20 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric treatment. Patricia sobbed as they led her away. Part of me felt pity for her, a broken woman who had never healed from her own grief. But mostly I just felt relieved that she would never be able to hurt another family. We moved out of Meadowbrook community immediately. The HOA apologized profusely, claiming they had no idea about Patricia's mental state or her past behavior in other neighborhoods. Their apologies meant nothing to us. The place felt tainted, poisoned by memories we couldn't escape. We found a quiet house in a neighborhood with no HOA, surrounded by kind elderly neighbors who brought casseroles instead of violation notices. Mrs. Rodriguez next door became like a grandmother to Lily, babysitting occasionally and never once complaining about crying at night. Life slowly returned to normal, though normal had a different meaning now. I held Lily tighter. Jake installed security cameras around our house. We both startled at unexpected knocks on the door. The nightmares came frequently at first, waking up in panic, running to Lily's crib to make sure she was still there, still breathing, still ours. Jake had them too. We would wake each other up, trembling and crying, then sit together in Lily's nursery just watching her sleep. But gradually, the nightmares faded. The fear loosened its grip. We learned to trust again, to breathe again, to be parents without constant terror. On Lily's first birthday, we had a small party in our backyard. Our families came. Our new neighbors came. We ate cake and sang songs and watched Lily smash frosting into her hair, laughing with pure joy. "Happy birthday, baby girl," I whispered, holding her sticky little hands. "You're safe. You're loved. And Mama will always protect you." She didn't understand the words yet. But someday, when she was older, I would tell her the story of how her mother went to war one last time, not overseas, but in these very mountains, and brought her home. Because that's what mothers do. We fight. We survive. We protect what's ours. And we never, ever give up.